And I guess just to segue, we did mention this before, but the Chinese butcher, you brought up something very interesting because a lot of people, I guess just to set everything up before I pass it on to you, is a lot of people notice with the new trailer that uh, Larry Jiang, I believe, or Chang, like they basically changed his ethnicity. He's no longer Chinese or Taiwanese, as you brought up in your
They changed his
video.
entire outfit too.
They changed like everything. And so what was strange about that as a viewer was that when we watched Capcom Next, there was a section where even like the creative, I think, director, or not the director, maybe the producer, I don't remember who specifically, but there was one guy who was talking about how they wanted to keep the game very true to the fans. And he was having that in the back of his mind. He wanted fan expectations to be there because a lot of people were like, why are you making this game so violent? And it seemed like what he mentioned in the game was, no, we're going to keep all of the cartoony flips, the disembowel, movements, all the crazy stuff from Dead Rising. We're going to keep it just for fans' expectations. So it was very weird that, in that trailer, we saw that Larry looked completely different. But you brought an excellent point, and I actually want to hear your point as to the reason.
There's really only two explanations on why Larry was changed. The first reason was political correctness, because
Yeah.
they were possibly scared that he was offensive to people, which I will say about this is when I was a kid and I saw Larry the first time, I was terrified of him, but I didn't think there was anything offensive about him. I didn't think that there was anything racist about him. I didn't factor in Larry's ethnicity or think about that at all when the first time that I saw him. I just basically
Yeah.
thought crazy, scary butcher that lost his mind during the zombie outbreak. That's basically what. That's really all I basically thought about. I didn't think about his race or anything like his name or anything like that. So I don't know why some people think that his character design was racist. And the second reason is this is probably the most common reason is that Larry's name, his last name, is apparently Taiwanese, which I had no idea on that. The Dead Rising wiki covers this. Maybe some of your viewers will know a little bit more about this. I asked
Yeah.
my viewers and I asked my Chinese and Taiwanese viewers if they could explain it to me.
Did they get back to you?
But I didn't see any comments. I'll go back
Mm,
to the video after this interview and I'll
yeah.
check to see if there's anybody got back to me. But I don't think I saw any comments on that specifically. But apparently, his last name, the way that it's spelled, is
Yeah.
spelled only in Taiwan. Like
Yeah.
there's like that name is not spelled the same way anymore in mainland China.
Yeah.
And so he has a Chinese tattoo I know on his back, but his
Yeah.
name is Taiwanese. And so there's
Well,
a the contra.
technically, it's a Chinese character, but it's worth noting that in Taiwan, in Japan, in several other countries in Asia,
Mhm.
they all use Chinese characters because it's so ancient that people just have incorporated into their culture. So,
Yeah.
like, it's like there's no Taiwanese characters, so it would still be Chinese
Well,
character. But yeah,
I
yep,
didn't know that part
yep,
specifically, but yeah, but I think that if anything, it was that specifically is that they were scared that they were scared that it was going to piss off China because like anything with Taiwan these days,
yeah,
any mention of it, any doing business with it, it was people were gonna freak out. There was actually a company I remember that came to my channel like years ago, like 2 years ago, and they actually it was a Taiwanese company, and they asked me if I could sponsor one of their Bluetooth speakers, and I was happy to do it. I had no issue with it. I thought that I was going to get backlash or something like that the other companies were going to cut off contact. Nothing happened, by the way. So it
yeah,
was so I did the ad for the Taiwanese company, but I have no problem with working with Taiwanese companies. But I don't know, like the Chinese government on the other hand, they are just so anti-Taiwan
yeah,
that like any mention of it whatsoever, any mention of it, even
yeah,
having a single character like in a game that's Taiwanese, they
yeah,
don't even recognize Taiwanese as a nationality. They say
yeah,
that Taiwan is part of China, and that's just basically it. And so that's what I'll say is that it's a China basically like it's like they extort basically anybody that tries to have relations with Taiwan.
yeah.
And they basically, I think it's like 95% of the countries in the world don't even have relations with Taiwan because of that, because China just pressures them so much. And I think that Capcom, they're so close in proximity to mainland China. And
Yeah.
I don't know how much business Capcom does in China, but I'm assuming they have to sell something in China.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe, and they are probably scared that if they have even a Taiwanese character, that their entire company is going to be kicked out of China. That's probably what they're
yeah.
scared about.
And I thought that was a very excellent point that I did not think about.
And the thing is, Larry doesn't even mention Taiwan. Just the character is just
No.
Taiwanese.
Yeah.
But it was just apparently that, and I really hope that some journalists when the game is coming up that they actually bring it up to Capcom and they actually ask them about that. And I think that these developers these days, I tell you, is these developers are just so scared of political correctness too is that they will just see things that were not even considered racist or offensive, like nearly 20 years ago when it's Dead Rising, is now people are seeing them as racist and offensive when they're not necessarily racist and offensive. Like I don't see like you don't think that there's anything offensive about Larry, do you? Too, right?
No, I will say that when I heard the footage on your end, because I noticed you were seeing another YouTuber's footage, and because I'm just about to get to that part of the game, because like I'm playing it, I'm streaming it again to kind of get a refresher before the remake releases. I noticed that it does sound like the voice actor was not Chinese. It's definitely clear. It seems like it was like a white actor or just any other ethnicity that was doing that.
I mean, that meat? Um,
Oh, this is good meat, huh? I just got it in here. It's fresh. You just wait right this. No good. I can't serve my customers spoiled meat like that. I have a reputation to uphold.
But it doesn't seem like it's from a place that's mean. Like it's not from like a racist point of view. Whoever the actor was, I think he did the best of his ability. Obviously, when it comes to acting and voice acting, you just accept whatever job that you can get. That's just how it is with acting. So actors, if the job is there, they're going to try their best to do it. So do I think it's offensive? No, I don't. I don't think that there was like that intention, that intention behind to be malicious or to be racist. No, I definitely I think that's absurd. And it's interesting, were there a lot of people that were assuming that was the case, that maybe Capcom was trying to be modern?
From the comments that I've seen,
Yeah.
from my audience personally,
Yeah.
most of my viewers believe that the reason was political correctness. They thought
Yeah.
that Capcom was just scared of being called racist, and so they changed that. But my theory is that it's not even the political correctness.
Yeah.
My theory is the Taiwanese thing. That's what I think personally. I think
Yeah.
it's that too. Which I guess you could argue the Taiwanese thing is a form of political correctness, but it's just that people are just think that it's that the reason Larry's being changed is because he's some kind of stereotype. But I think that the main reason he's being changed is because of his Taiwanese name. That's what I think is
And it does seem a lot more plausible compared to the other one. Though I should mention, a counter argument to this would be that when it comes to Resident Evil, Capcom they have changed stuff for modern audiences. So
Like
if we
what?
look, like for example, there's several instances, but for Resident Evil 4, so the OG RE4 that came out, in 2005, that game, it re-released for the MetaQuest. I don't remember if it was MetaQuest 1 or MetaQuest 2, but it was a VR version of the original Resident Evil 4. They took out a lot of sections. I heard that it was heavily censored. I've never played it, but heavily censored, where they took out all the sections where Leon, the main protagonist, would say stuff like women.
I see that the president's equipped his daughter with ballistics, too.
How rude! And I don't believe there's any relevance with my figure and my standing. Who are you?
Oh,
After you take me back to my place, how about we do some, overtime?
sorry.
Also, like
What?
if you've played the OG RE4, there's several sections where it's kind of pervy. It's very pervy, where for example the girl will go up the ladder and she'll be like, and you could look up her skirt, or even in cutscenes, the main like girl that's like the damsel in distress, or you always see like a little bit of her underwear, of her panties, and it's like, yeah, that's a little much. And obviously in the remake, for Resident Evil 4 remake, they did take out a lot of those sections where, for example, Leon has always, like, he stated this in the movie Resident Evil Damnation, where he said women, women, it's always something with women. Like he said that in Resident Evil 6, Resident Evil Damnation, and Resident Evil 4, the original, but in the remake they changed that. They took that out.
See you later.
Women.
See you later.
Story of my life.
So there's definitely sections where they've done that. They also, speaking of the damsel in distress, they did change her outfit to be not like they didn't show her panties. They actually gave her some stockings, I believe. Like her skirt stays down, which personally I think is good. I think that's because before in the OG it was kind of pervy in my opinion. So that didn't really bother me too much. There were some fans that were very upset about that on Twitter when the game released the remake. But yeah, but I guess those are some changes that did happen with Resident Evil, even with the reimaginings that they did. Make sure to click this video right here if you guys want to see more Dead Rising content. Anyways, thank you so much for watching.